Thank you, Chairman Tonko. I want to thank you for your long-standing leadership on drinking water issues and for calling this hearing, because access to safe drinking water is essential to our health and prosperity as a nation. And unfortunately, it is far from guaranteed. I know the ranking member said that as well. And like many aspects of our lives, the COVID-19 pandemic has shown just how important and how fragile that access to safe drinking water is. We have aging infrastructure, we have tight state and local budgets, family budgets stretched to the limits, and climate change. These are all making the situation worse. But fortunately, the legislation we're considering today can help. The president has called on us to invest $111 billion in our nation's water infrastructure, investments that can create good paying jobs, protect public health, and strengthen communities. And the bills before us could deliver the investments and benefits envisioned in the president's American Job Plan and long supported by members of this committee. We'll discuss legislation from both sides of the aisle that would extend important drinking water programs, including the state revolving fund, as well as water resiliency, school drinking water, and tribal water programs. We have multiple bills before us to address customer water debt, including a bipartisan bill that would establish permanent rate assistance programs to help low-income customers pay their water bills. And we'll discuss legislation from both sides of the aisle that would deliver the funding called for in the American Jobs Plan to replace all lead service lines nationwide. The Clean Future Act, which I introduced earlier this year with Chairman Tonko and Rush, invests $45 billion over 10 years to replace all lead service lines. It also prioritizes replacing the lines in disadvantaged and environmental justice communities. And our states and water systems are trying to do the right thing to find lead service lines and replace them. And I look forward to hearing from the EPA today on how the agency and Congress can help states and water systems get it done. In the past, we have had great success on this committee of coming together to pass funding for drinking water infrastructure. Unfortunately, we've made less progress coming together to strengthen drinking water standards and ensure safer drinking water for all based on those standards. So I hope we've reached a turning point in that effort. Bipartisan support for strengthening protections against lead and PFAS can point the way towards greater consensus on strengthening the law to provide safer water for all. At last year's hearing on standard setting under the Safe Drinking Water Act, I noted that almost all of our drinking water standards were set before the 1996 amendments to the statute, and the standards that have been set since then have all been done under special statutory provisions. So the end result is that over the last 25 years, EPA has never managed to complete the general standard setting process called for under the Safe Drinking Water Act. And I hope we can agree that that's a problem. Some of the bills before us would set deadlines for specific drinking water standards, carving a path for health protective standards for PFAS, microsystem, and one fish for dioxane. The Aqua Act, which you sponsored, Chairman Tonko, and you mentioned it, would go further and take steps to fix the standard setting process for all contaminants. The narrow changes in that bill could make a huge difference for communities across the nation, and I hope that can be part of the bipartisan work going forward. And over the last few months, I've often said that this moment of crisis provides us an opportunity to invest in our country, making it stronger, cleaner, healthier, and better off. Drinking water legislation is a clear example of that opportunity. Every family should be able to trust that the water coming from the tap is safe. In order to make that happen, we have to come together to enact real improvements to our drinking water system. So again, I really appreciate what you're doing here with this hearing and the bills. It's a question of having better standards so that the water itself is safe, but also providing the money so we can address the infrastructure. And both of those are part of what we're trying to accomplish today. So thank you again, and I yield back.